Global intensive is one of the many forms of agroecology, and it targets very small holder farmers that maybe owns 1 to 5 acres of land, and farmers that want to increase their production. And it is the most sustainable way of farming because it entails improving the soils using the resources that the farmer has. It is called a closed loop system because it recycles within the farm, and the farmer is supposed to recycle everything that they produce. For example, if a farmer produces maize and beans and other crops, they are supposed to return the same into the soil. That is by the use of composting, or they can feed their livestock, and then the livestock produces manure, and then they can convert the farmyard manure into boma composting. So boma compost is manure that has more carbon materials or carbon resources than nitrogen, so that now you don't pump in a lot of nitrogen in the soil. If a farmer has at least 1/8 of an acre, that 1/8, according to the research that we have carried out, is able to feed one person throughout the year. The farmer will be able to produce the food and at the same time produce income. What is needed here is the skill. And the global intensive is skill intensive and not input intensive. In order for a farmer to become fully organic, it is a process. It entails taking one step at a time, because you want to reduce or even keep on stopping the use of conventional inputs and adopt the organics. So it's a process where you will use a lot of organic matter, pump it into the soil as you reduce chemical fertilizers. With that, in about 6 years, that farmer will be fully organic. We are importing a lot of food from other countries because we are not able to produce sufficient food, simply because our soils are dead. If you are able to focus on soil fertility management, if we are able to focus on how to raise the fertility of our soils, Kenyans have to wake up and think about the soil. Because when you're talking about the soil, you're also talking about the generations to come. What kind of a generation do you want in the future? Do you want a generation that's borrowing food from the other countries? We need to think about growing our own food. Kenya should grow and eat the food that Kenyans grow. If they don't talk about agroecology in the COP28, then there is no COP. There's no COP. Because agroecology is now and it's tomorrow and the future. So it has to be discussed and discussed fully, and farmers should be supported and fully supported to go agroecology.
We know that we have challenges with our food systems, that we have been unable, despite using a lot of resources in the recent past and a lot of conversations and a lot of initiatives, we have been unable to secure a meal for each and every person in the world today. According to FAO, still more than 750 million people globally are affected by food insecurity. And this is a clear indicator of failure of the current system to achieve the most basic function of our agriculture, which is basically to ensure that each and every person has access to adequate food at all times. Agroecology for me is a paradigm shift. Is where we are looking at how we reinvent our agricultural activities so that we align ourselves with nature rather than working against nature. In Kenya, we are talking about the cost of fertilizer. We have subsidized, we have resubsidized, but it is still unaffordable. We are talking about access to seeds that are productive, that are viable, that are climate resilient. So for me, it's a conversation that is not just about farmers, it's not just about producers doing different, but it's about all of us as a people changing the way we perceive food, changing the way we perceive agriculture, and looking at agriculture as not only a victim of climate change, but as a potential solution, for example, to the climate crisis. We can accelerate also through providing information, providing knowledge, like things like what, for example, the GBX Center is doing, and by training farmers and exposing farmers to alternative ways of thinking and looking at food systems. This is the way to go. It is so important to understand that consumers have to be part of this conversation. Consumers have to learn to choose food not because it's cheaper, but because it is better. It is better for them, it is better for the environment. No, I think the COP discussions are very key because they are guiding the global thinking around how we are addressing the climate crisis, and food systems or agriculture as it were is basically not only affected by climate change, but is also a potential avenue for solutions and interventions towards the climate crisis.